It's Platt, and today we go to Kansas City. That's next to Platt's Beer of the Week. Well, fall's in the air, so it's time to try even more maltier beers, or that's how I view the world anyway. So we're going to take a step up maltiness from those Oktoberfests to the steep drop. It is a nitro cold brewed milk stout. Comes to us from the fine folks at Boulevard Brewing. Boulevard Brewing is based in Kansas City, Missouri, not to be confused with Kansas City, Kansas. Boulevard Brewing is owned by Duvel Mertgat, hopefully I said that right, Brewing, based in Belgium. They purchased the company in 2013. Duvel Mertgat, the name might not be as well known as AB InBev, Carlsberg, Heineken, those big conglomerates. Grupo Modelo, stuff like that. But Duvel's actually a pretty large-sized brewery. Most people know it for Duvel, the Golden Belgian Ale. But Duvel has its footprint here in the U.S. Besides Boulevard, they also own, I believe, a piece of Omegang and Firestone Walker. So they definitely have a footprint in American craft brewing. Boulevard was founded by a gentleman named John McDonald. John McDonald started the company and started building the brewery in 1988. He built it in an old brick building in Kansas City. He purchased a used 35-barrel brew house from a recently shut down brewery in Bavaria. So he went really authentic with the equipment. They did not start production of beer till late in 1989, and the first delivery of beer did not come until 1990. That was actually to a restaurant down the street. Let me get the name right. Ponak's Mexican Kitchen. John delivered the beer himself. I'm sure that was a treat, taking that first keg to the first account, hooking up the taps. I'm sure it was a big day. Now, how John got the dream or the bug to start a brewery, he had gone in 1984 on a trip over to Europe, and that's when he encountered the great Belgian beer styles and fell in love with them immediately. Now, you have to remember, in 1984, it was a totally different world as far as beer went. To give you a good example, 1984 was the year that Anheuser-Busch quit referring to Bud Light as Budweiser Light. The first couple years Bud Light was out, it was referred to as Budweiser Light. But it was in 1984 when they finally went to the just Bud Light. So that tells you how long ago it was. Just a totally different beer world. Well, like I said, John let that stew for a couple years and started home brewing and finally decided he had a true passion and it was time to start a brewery, which gave us Boulevard Brewing. And, of course, they say the rest is history. A couple big milestones along the way in the history of the brewery. In 2007, they started something called the Smokestack Series. It was a line of Trappist-style beers. John was highly influenced by those beers. And, of course, it would later come in handy when they were acquired by a big Belgian brewery. In 2018, they did a collab, as the kids would say, with rapper, artist, I'm not sure how to refer to the young man, Tech 9. They came up with a beer, I think it was called Boulou, in reference to one of his songs. It was a pineapple coconut wheat beer. Now, the biggest thing I learned out of that is Tech 9 is from Kansas City. When I think a hotbed of hip-hoppers, Kansas City's not my place, but who knows. They've had three major expansions over the years, 1999, 2006, and 2011. The last one, they added an additional 35,000 barrels a year brewing capacity, so that was a big step up. Speaking of their beers and brewing capacity, they have a complete line of beers. First and foremost, their Pale Ale, the Boulevard Pale Ale. That is their flagship beer, the very first beer that was delivered to Ponak's Mexican Kitchen. Next, they have Boss Tom's Golden Bock. It's a Maibach. They also have Snow and Tell Scotch Ale. Kind of like that name for some reason. The 6-glass quad, Belgian quad. Again, kind of fits with their style. And last but not least, Early Riser Coffee Porter. Like I said, they have a full line of beers, but they tend to skew a little on the maltier side, which is probably why I might have picked this. Well, before we try this beer, though, let's check out the stats. Well, so as you may remember, last week I mentioned that from here next few weeks on Platt's Beer of the Week, I'm going to take a little time to mention different home brewing books, books about beer and wine, everything, things that might make great stocking stuffers since the holiday season's coming up. And the book I have today is a absolute must if you have someone in your life or you are really into home brewing. Check out How to Brew by John Palmer. This is one of the quintessential books for home brewers. Been around for a few years now, and the information still as valid today as it ever was. This book, apologize. This book is more for the more advanced brewer. This is not a book you would buy and throw in with a Mr. Beer kit to someone that's never home brewed before. This is the kind of the next level, more for any intermediate brewers. I would still. It's still something you could buy a newer brewer, but it's not going to be a light read. One thing you can tell, it's not a thin book. It's a fairly thick book. There's not a ton of photos, so it's not filled with photos. Also, too, some of the concepts. I've had this book for a few years now, but I'd already been brewing a few years before I bought this book, and there were still some concepts and things in there that I was just kind of like, holy cow. You'll get into things like yeast flocculation, decoction mashing. This is definitely a little more advanced, but it's good for anybody in home brewing because there's still some simple recipes in there. They do have some beginning recipes. Of course, again, for the intermediate, even the advanced brewer, there's one great thing about this book. It's also a great reference. I read it years ago, but still something I'll go to every once in a while. You know, they'll have different charts, figures. If I'm trying to computate, all right, what's my projected original gravity, or what's going to be the IBU in my beer, stuff like that. They have that kind of information, or how to go through those type of calculations. Great little book. I will leave a link down below so you can get the book. Like I said, great for the home brewer in your life, or if you're a budding home brewer, check out How to Brew John Palmer. All right, enough of that. Let's drink a cold beer. Oh, this is black as midnight. I love it. A nitro, so I'm not getting any head. Remember, we don't have that foam over. You're not worried about being aggressive with the pour. Really doesn't cascade like you would see in like a Guinness or whatever. Give us a nose. Oh my gosh. There's some dark malts, dark fruit notes on that. Don't catch my chops. Let's give her a try. Oh my gosh. There's a lot of coffee notes on that. It does say brewed with fair trade small batch coffee. Yeah, that is. Oh, that is good. That is what you would envision someone who might have gone seeing a rugby match and then going to their pub on a cool fall day would be drinking. That is nice. Pretty simplistic. I don't get, it says it's a nitro, I don't get that creaminess that I normally do in a nitro. I don't know if the ratio's been tweaked a little bit or not. It still goes down easy. The body, it's not too viscous, but it's definitely a beer of substance. There is a little viscosity in there, but not a lot. Bird loves milk stouts. Just a real nice sipper. Like I said, I get a little bit of dark fruit. Sometimes in these dark beers, you'll get the chocolate. Sorry about that. We have a little interruption. All right, apologize for that little interruption. Bird gets fired up when I drink beer. You think it'd be the other way, but because I would get real fired up if he drank a beer. Anyway, like I said though, this is a pretty nice, just real malty a beer. The coffee comes through. Like I said, wasn't getting the creaminess I kind of expected out of a nitro, but still overall good beer. I think ABV-wise, we're not that high up, so it's not a winter warmer per se, but just a really nice, good beer. A fall in the air, can't beat it. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets you too know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or beers that you'd like me to try, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Until next time, bottoms up.